Hey, hello again, everyone. It's Jim. I'm back with another Beating Obesity update. And today I wanted to answer a question that was posed to me recently on one of my videos. And I wanted to, rather than answer in a comment, I wanted to make a video on it because I wanted to expand a little bit on it. So, first off, I'm just going to read the question that was posed. Hi there, would you recommend a carnivore diet to a woman? I've been researching this topic for some time now, and many of the women who went on the meat-only carnivore diet haven't been able to lose weight. They all attest to having experienced great health benefits. However, for myself, I'm interested in losing weight. I'm actually a meat lover, so it would be easy to transition if I got the desired results. I think men obtain much better results on this diet than women, at least looking at the YouTube reviews. I will try to experiment with it because I personally don't trust all the medical advice out there regarding meat. And I also want to see how my organism responds to meat and eggs and some other healthy fats. I hope you'll give me your take on this. I'd love to hear your opinion in regards to women switching to this dietary lifestyle, if you have any. And how much weight loss can women realistically expect to lose following a carnivore diet? And this was posed, the person's name, and I hope I pronounce it somewhat closely, and apologize if I don't, Mariah, I believe. Anyway, thank you, Mariah, for the question. I want to sort of break this apart a little bit and talk first about the men versus women part of it and weight loss, because my opinion, just based on observations, men and women are slightly different than men in terms of weight loss. When they approach a weight loss situation, it seems to me that women tend to hit plateaus that are a little more stubborn or a little more frequently. It's as if their bodies are, a little bit more aggressively trying to hold on to the fat, and maybe it's partly to do with age, or I'm sure it's biological in nature. There are differences between men and women, after all. So I've observed this. I don't think, though, that it's related to a specific diet. I think it can be whatever method is being used for weight loss. I just see maybe that women sometimes hit more plateaus, and the weight loss is a little more stubborn. Not all the time, but sometimes. Just a generalization. So I want to leave the women versus men off the table because it's certainly not something particular to the carnivore diet, which was the inquiry was based on. So if we just now look at weight loss, is weight loss possible on a carnivore diet? And I'd also like to talk about the carnivore zero-carb diet a little bit. First of all, weight loss, I really encourage people not to look at the carnivore zero carb as a weight loss a diet, let's say. It's really, it's a way of eating. It should be looked at as something permanent. It's not a quick weight loss solution. Certainly, many people do lose weight when they transition over to it. Some lose a lot of weight. Many then kind of stall a little bit. It really, I think, depends a lot on where you're coming from, what kind of diet you're changing from. So I guess what I want to say, not everything is about weight loss. And I think one of the big benefits of choosing how you eat is are the health benefits. And my personal feeling is you can lose weight on a number of diets, all right? Let's just stipulate that. You can lose weight on a vegan diet or any kind of different diet. You can lose weight. How permanent you will be with it, how successful you'll be keeping it off, how healthy you will be. These are maybe other considerations. So losing weight is not only what you eat. I mean, I've learned in my weight loss journey that it's what you eat, but a huge factor is also when you eat, how many times a day you eat. And that could be once a day or twice a day, or it could be 0 times a day in terms of fasting, which I have done. My weight loss journey, I did a lot of fasting. I ate once a day, and this was a huge part of the reason why I lost a lot of weight. So again, weight loss can be achieved by a number of different means. To me, the key levers to control it are what you eat and when you eat. So my preference, my suggestion that the better diets would be ones that are for sure low carb. And for me, I transitioned off a low carb and went into a carnivore zero carb diet, and I like it the best of all. And from all the experience and research I have done, there are definitely health benefits to the zero carb diet. People are feeling good and curing themselves, healing themselves for all kinds of things, all kinds of maladies, skin, autoimmune type diseases, you name it, mood disorders. And it's just based on getting rid of plant food, which some people can tolerate, others can't. Or others can't tolerate as well. So I guess I just want to say, while you can lose weight with any diet, if I'm going to make a recommendation, it would be definitely go with a low carb or a zero carb, especially for people who, let's say, have plateaued or have tried a lot of things and got down to that last bit of stubborn weight loss that doesn't come off so easily. This is when you might want to start looking at either one of the two main levers. Like I said, you might want to look at, if you haven't tried the zero carb yet, I would recommend doing a 30-day trial on it. And if you haven't tried, let's say, any type of intermittent fasting or one meal a day, you might want to start moving in that direction. Or if you've done both, you may need to go forward and press harder on both levers. I mean, it just depends on where you are at on your journey. If nothing's working at all, this means you just got to press on and try something different. But so let's recap a little bit. Zero carb, if you're going to do it, I would recommend doing a trial and giving yourself time. Make a commitment. 30 days minimum, because your body needs time to adapt. And you need time to adapt because you have to create some different habits. Let me give you some examples. Again, it depends on what kind of a diet you're coming from, but you need time. If you go to zero carb, you're going to be basically changing your metabolism. You may not have ever burned fat exclusively in the past or burned ketones. You're going to be doing so now. So if you're not real good at it, you need a period of adaptation to it. And this could take some time, and you might experience some effects, good and bad, early on, but you just got to work through it. You'll feel some things right away, and probably to feel better. But for your body to fully get good at this process of becoming fat adapted, it's going to take time. So don't rush it. Don't expect just to lose a bunch of weight in a few days or a week. Give it time. The other thing for me, a consideration was I was used to a certain way of eating. I used to every meal would eat a whole lot of vegetables and a big salad and some protein, and I have a variety of things. And then when I said, all right, I'm going to do an experiment with zero carb, only meat, it was like there was a lot of habits I had to readjust to. Like, okay, what meats do I eat now? What cuts of meat? What types of meat? Fat or lean? How much do I eat? 1 steak, 2 steaks, 3 steaks? I mean, just how do I put together my meals, and how do I cook them? I mean, it was kind of a whole new set of routines that I had to get under my belt. And it took me a little while to adapt to that. It's sort of a mental block also. It's hard to think about, okay, I'm going to make a meal now, but it's basically meat, maybe some eggs. And it is sort of a little mental barrier. You're not used to thinking in that terms. Okay, my meal is going to be all this meat, so you need time to adapt. Both your habits and for your body to catch up. So with that said, I'm going to just take a little time and describe my zero carb diet. I am basically, now, I try to make meat the focus of it. Well, let's back up a second. Let's say, what is a zero carb carnivore diet? It's basically you're eating from sources from animal source foods. You're not eating plant foods at all. So for me, what does that mean? It means meat is, is always the centerpiece of my meal. Primarily beef. Also a fair amount of pork I eat. I do eat chicken too, but to a lesser extent. Also, I eat fish on a fairly regular basis, salmon and tuna. So between the beef, the pork, the chicken, and the fish, this is the focus of my meal. This is this is going to be like 80% of my meal, or from meat. I also frequently have eggs, not 100% of the time, but I'll have some eggs, either hard-boiled eggs or some fried eggs or scrambled or an omelet. And I'll frequently add some cheese, either some grated cheese to the eggs, or maybe to ground beef. I'll add some grated cheese. I try to keep cheese more as kind of a lesser role, a treat, if you will. I try not to overdo it and overpower the meat. Meat has always got to be the center of attention. That's kind of the way I approach this. My beverages I keep to, really, mineral water is a big one for me now. I drink a couple bottles of that with my meal, and I really love it. During the day is basically coffee and a little water. I have a couple of coffee, maybe 3 coffees, and some flat water. And with my meal, I drink a lot of mineral water. Those are my beverages. That's it. On occasion now, I've been dabbling outside of the, let's say, the animal-based foods, and everybody on a carnivore diet does it to some extent. I don't want to say everybody. There are probably some purists that it's meat only and water. That's it, 100%. But I think most people have some allowances for some other things. Right now, my allowances are few. I'm going to say right now I'm dabbling with. I'll have some olives and avocado. So from the these are fruits, but these are not sweet fruits, but they're fruits that I like. They give me some variety and some fat and some good vitamins, but they're not what I call unhealthy fruits, sweet fruits, and they don't bother me. So I have them maybe a couple times a week. I'll have an avocado or some olives, and I kind of like the variety. But that's really it. Of what I've just mentioned, that's probably what I eat 99% of the time. Other than that, maybe if I'm in a social setting or on a business trip and I just don't have access to my prime foods that I just mentioned, I just make do the best I can at wherever I'm at in whatever situation. I'll try to eat as close to my preference as possible, and if not, I don't sweat it because it's such an infrequent event. There's just no reason to get hung up on it. So, yeah. With that said, that's how I approach it. Now, other people, there's all different variations out there. Not all different variations, but within the general framework of animal-based foods. If you stick to that, you're basically on a carnivore diet. But my best recommendation to Mariah or anybody else, if you're going to try it, like I said, give it a minimum 30 days or longer. And when you do so, be strict in the beginning. During your transition, for sure, try to just keep it. Try not to go outside of the bounds of the animal kingdom as much as possible. Try not to do it at all. And the reason for that, for being strict, is this will kind of reduce the time needed for the adaptation, and you're going to experience problems or benefits faster. So it's just to accelerate the process and to get to a point of kind of where you've eliminated everything else. And especially if you're someone with medical problems, with things that are bothering you, if you have issues, weight loss or health issues, go to this kind of a strict elimination. Stabilize yourself, get transitioned, get fat adapted, and then when you feel it, you can start doing tests. If there are foods that you really want to bring back into your life again, you can pick and choose. You can run trials. You can add, let's say, whatever that food is, and then test it. Maybe it's some kind of a vegetable or whatever, and see, do you still feel good? Do you feel worse? And then you'll know. When you're just eating a whole variety of foods and a bunch of stuff all the time, you don't know what's doing what. So going to the elimination route is good in order to detect what affects you. You'll learn about your stuff. You'll learn about your diet. And in my case, and I think a lot of people find out after you've done the elimination and you've kind of zero set yourself and adapted, you may not want to go back to certain foods that you thought you could never live without. They might not hold any fascination for you anymore. You might be over them. I've certainly found that. Foods that I used to be, I would say, addicted to, certainly carbs or sweets or popcorn or things I craved. I mean, they still sound real great, but I just, I can take it or leave it. In fact, I generally leave. I don't eat those foods anymore just because I prefer not to. So you might find that your tastes change and your habits change. So that's one reason to go the elimination route and give it time. So yeah, I mean that's kind of you get the point where I'm heading on this. Some people, I've read a lot of accounts. Some people see dramatic weight loss when they go to a carnivore, and I think these are the people that are maybe coming from a more carbohydrate-laden diet, and their body is flushing fluids. Some people report really not so much weight loss. But my thinking is this. Why I recommend, without hesitation, to go to a zero carb for weight loss is because I think, if nothing else, it kind of puts an upper limit. It sort of caps potential for weight gain. I mean, I don't see or hear about people that go to a zero carb and then just their weight balloons up and they become obese. You look around, I don't think the obese people that we see every day all around us got that way from eating a zero carb diet. It sort of has a way of self-regulating, I think, better than other ways of eating. A lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sweets, a lot of sugars. There's no regulator on that. There's nothing to tell you you're full, other than maybe feeling guilty. I remember eating, I could eat entire giant bag of potato chips, never get full, and then be hungry later. It's hard, eating meat, you get full, and you have a great sense of satiety, and it's sustaining. So I think these features of the animal-based foods and healthy animal-based fats are good for weight loss, because it puts like a cap on you may not always achieve the weight loss goals you want as quick as you want. But like I said, there's other things besides weight loss that benefits for this diet, and there's other ways to achieve the weight loss. Like I said, the meal timing and intermittent fasting. So basically, I'm going to say, for whatever your objectives are, the zero carb is not a bad option. So now going back to let's see if I can specifically make sure that I answered the questions. Sorry, I have to look at my notes. Can a woman lose weight on a zero carb diet? Absolutely. Would I recommend it for a woman? Yeah, absolutely. In addition to my testimonials, I'm going to mention a couple of resources for good information and interviews and testimonials. One of the blogs that put me over the edge in terms of wanting to convince myself that I really wanted to try the zero carb is a blog called Zerocarbzen. And I'm going to link to that one below, because the interviews on there are fascinating, and the information on there is great. Zerocarbzen. There are interviews with many women who found great success on a zero carb diet, lost a lot of weight. Kelly Williams Hogan, Amber O'Hearn, Charlene Anderson, some of the women. There's many other women on there as well. So go to that zerocarbzen. Go to the interviews section. Go to the testimonial section. Go to all the sections. There's a lot of good information in there. You'll find it fascinating, and you'll see many accounts of successful weight loss. Doesn't mean everyone or every woman sees the same results. We're all different. But like I said, weight loss can be achieved on any diet, and there's other means to arrive at the weight loss. So you just might have to work at it. The other great reference I would recommend for anyone looking into a zero carb for the first time, and I highly recommend this site, is Amber O'Hearn. I mentioned her name. I've mentioned her name several times. She has a blog, I believe it's called Empirica, and there's a post there called Eat Meat, Not Too Little, Mostly Fat. And this is a great how to jump into a zero carb for a first timer. All the different considerations she takes off in good detail, and she's one of the, let's say, zero carb luminaries, who's probably one of the more famous ones. It's a great how-to for somebody looking into it. That's linked to down below. Read that, and also her blog. She recounts her personal story on zero carb, which is fascinating in terms of. I think how she puts it is she came to it for the weight loss, which she did lose a lot of weight, but she stayed for the mood stabilization and the other health benefits, which were phenomenal. So zerocarbzen and Amber O'Hearn's Empirica blog, these are highly recommended and linked to below. So check those out before you just dive in. I guess that's about it. I'll just wrap up by saying that, again, stressing zero carb, or at least a low carb, I believe, are better diets. They're more healthy, and you can achieve weight loss with them. It may not be the only vehicle of weight loss, because for me, fundamentally, and I always say this, meal timing, when you eat, is very, very important. I want to say maybe as important as what you're eating. But certainly you can lose weight with or without one or the other. But if you are stuck in a situation where you have health issues, or you've plateaued hard, you've tried everything, you might need to press on both of those levers at once, meaning you're going to have to do some, maybe reduce your eating window, eat one meal a day, do some intermittent fasting every other day, some type of fasting strategy, in addition to watching what you eat and even how much you eat, to get those break through a plateau, or to get those last stubborn pounds off. So, so I hope, Mariah, if I'm not mispronouncing your name, I hope that's how you pronounce your name, and again, apologize if I am. I hope that kind of answers your question. Again, it's a little bit overkill. I went off on some different tangents, but that's pretty much what I wanted to say today. Next week, I think I'm going to give an update on, currently, the last 2 weeks, I've done some intermittent fasting, which I hadn't done for myself for over, I think it's been about like 7 months since I've done any fasting. I've done it the last few weeks, and it's been quite a good experience. I'm going to do a little bit next week, and then I'm going to write a summary of it because I have seen some very positive changes, and I'll summarize that next week in another video. But until then, I'll end this video. Thank you for watching, for commenting, for subscribing, for liking, and again, if you have questions, feel free to answer. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the zero carb, on weight loss, on anything you want to ask me. For now, that's about it. Talk to you next time. Take care, everyone.